A U.S. Special Forces soldier helps plan the mission to capture Nicolás Maduro. Then he allegedly turns around and bets on it. Gannon Ken Van Dyke is charged with misusing classified intel, stealing non-public information, wire fraud, commodities fraud. Van Dyke put down about $33,000 and walked away with over $400,000. He could be looking at decades in prison if convicted. And yet on Capitol Hill, we see people making huge profits on stock trades that have access to knowledge that is not on the public market about regulatory matters, legislative matters. And you have to ask yourself, is this a kind of a similar play, but different players? Why do the rules change depending on who you are? We're now in a world where people are betting on wars, on elections, even on military operations. And the law, well, it's still playing catch up.
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is. No, I think that I'm not happy with any of that stuff, but they have all these different sites. They have predictive markets. It's a crazy world. It's a much different world than it was.
Yeah, I don't think Trump likes it personally, just listening to the way he talks about it. But this really, is it a legal problem or is it really a cultural problem? Here to discuss is Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna. It's great to see you, Congresswoman. You, I think, came out in a post on social saying that this Special Forces soldier should be pardoned. Why is that?
Yeah, you know, Laura, you brought up some great points. We have someone in the military who successfully helped plan one of, I would say, the most daring successful missions in U.S. history. And because he placed a bet, he, you know, in reading the write-up by the Department of Justice, Laura, I did not see that he leaked classified information. So that's pretty big on this. And I don't agree with what he did. However, I don't think that this is true justice. And I say that because, as you had stated, this man is facing decades in prison. Meanwhile, every single day on Capitol Hill, there are many members of Congress on both sides that are currently engaging in insider trading. And I actually did, Laura, decide to help champion this cause and try to get a bipartisan bill across the finish line that Hakeem Jeffries then turned around and blocked. So I do think that Congress as a whole, we have insider trading happening every single day. We have to have legislation to stop it. It's not right. It's working against the interests of the American people, and it is corruption. But again, this individual, is it fair for him to be facing decades, or
No.
you know, while Nancy Pelosi walks free, it's not?
No, I absolutely agree with you. So as you mentioned, Pelosi, she reportedly is one of the biggest benefactors of these kind of trade loopholes. Watch this.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this.
Even Jake Tapper didn't look like he was buying what she was saying there. That was last summer, Congresswoman. So she's made a lot of money. Her husband obviously is in business, and everyone likes Paul. He's a great guy, etc. But like, there are a lot of people who make a lot of money. A lot of them came in making a lot of money on Wall Street or hedge funds as well. So I mean, they made a lot of money before. They're making a lot of money now. But she's like, oh, I'm for all the reforms would be great. That's how they always approach this issue as they continue to rake in money.
Most certainly. If you look at the numbers on average, Laura, members of Congress that go from, you know, making 175, having never traded a stock in their life before, will on average make about 600% returns. And we are given access to information specifically on markets. We know when deals come through, and they are placing bets. You can follow a number of websites like Unusual Whales that will actually track members of Congress and their stock portfolio trades. Now, I do want to point out something. If a member of Congress gets caught trading stock, on average, the fine is maybe $200 if they're insider trading. And that's it. It's a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, you again see in this case of this Special Forces member facing decades in prison. And so we are trying to reform it. But, you know, what's happening in Congress, if we don't reform this now, it's never going to happen. Oh. And again, Hakeem Jeffries tried to block that bipartisan effort.
Well, Congresswoman, we just did an angle on how the Democrats' #1 agenda item, if they take the House, day one is impeaching Trump. So that's the only thing they're focused on right now if they take the House, which you got to help make sure doesn't happen. Congresswoman, thank you. Great to see you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.